Hi everyone, I'm again here with another pattern named as interpreter pattern. Um, interpreter design pattern. This interpreter design pattern will provide us a way to interpret one language grammar or an expression. Let us see an introduction about this interpreter pattern. This interpreter design pattern will provide us a way to evaluate language, grammar or expression. This pattern is used in SQL parsing, symbol processing engine and so on. This is the one of the special behavioral design pattern. Let us see an example for a design pattern. Let's see a real-time example for interpreter pattern. Here we can see the Java code. This Java code converted into bytecode by using the Java compiler. Here we see the Java virtual machine. This JVM acts as an interpreter. What this JVM does is it creates a bytecode and translate them into an instruction that which operating system can understand. So the same way JVM works in Windows, Linux and Mac system. Here JVM is acting as an interpreter. This is the best example for interpreter design pattern. Let's see an intent of this interpreter pattern. The intent of this interpreter pattern is giving a language define a representation for its grammar along with an interpreter that uses the representation to interpret sentence in the language. Coming to the motivation of this interpreter language. Coming to the motivation, if a particular kind of problem occurs often enough, then it might be worthwhile to express instance of the problem as sentence in a simple language. Then you can build an interpreter that solves the problem by interpreting these sentences. The interpreter pattern describes how to define a grammar for simple languages, that it represents sentence in the language and interrupt these sentences. Let us see an example. The pattern describes how to define a grammar for regular expression that represents a regular expression and how to interrupt that regular expression. Let us see an example regular expression. This is the grammar defines the regular expression. It consists of expressions, alternatives, sequence, repetitions and literals. So in this, the symbol expression is the start symbol and the symbol literal is a terminal symbol defining. The interpreter pattern uses a class to represent each grammar rule. Symbols on the right hand side of the rule are instance variables of these classes. The grammar represented here can be represented in a class diagram structure by using 5 classes. Let us see an example diagram based on this regular grammar. Let us see an example diagram. So this is the example diagram drawn for the shown above regular expression. In this we consist of 5 classes. We are representing here 5 classes. An abstract class that is nothing but a regular expression, and its subclasses are 4. Those are 4 subliteral expressions: alternative expression, sequence expression, and repetition expression. Literal expression, sequence expression, repetition, and alternation expressions. The last 3 classes defines variables that hold sub expressions. Every regular expression defined by this grammar is represented by an abstract syntax tree made up of these instant classes. We can create an interpreter for these regular expression by defining the interpret operation on each subclasses of regular expressions. Interpret takes as an argument the context in which to interpret the expressions. The context contains the input string and information on how much it has been matched so far. In this, each subclass of regular expression implements interpret to match the next part of the input string based on the current context. This literal expression will check if the input matches the literal it defines, whereas the alternation expression will check if the input matches if any of its alternatives, whereas repetition expression will check if the input has multiple copies of expressions that it repeats. So, in this way the grammar has been represented and performed. Let us see one of the example. Here I consider one more example for interpreter pattern, that which makes us easily to understand the interpreter pattern. This is the one of the example for interpreter pattern. I consider here context. See, here we are seeing the context. What the context says? The context says that the value that which we want to represent, that which we want to view the data. Here I have to pass this context and pass this expression to the interpreter. Here the context is to represent the date. The context is to represent the date. Here we can see the different date expression on this. First I am seeing the expression of, first expression is month, date, year. The next one date, month, year, month, date, and date and year. So these are the different expression. To print the date. So we have different type of expression to printing the date. As per our request, the date has been printed by considering this interpreter. Here I want to print the value of date, month, and year. This is my condition to print the date. What the interpreter does here is, this interpreter, it will convert the date value and it converts to the date as per our request as date, month, and year. We will get the date as like this: date, month, year, and year. See, here different type of dates are viewing based on these statements, based on this expression. Basically, interpreter contains a logic which will convert the context to the readable format. Let's see once a definition of interpreter pattern. This interpreter pattern will provide us to interpret one language grammar or expression. See here the example which we have seen in previously. In this case, the language grammar or expression is month, date, year, or date, month, year, month, date, or date, year. So these will become as the language grammar or expression in this case, and based on this expression, this interpreter converts the date value as it we requested, and it provide it as an output. So based on our request, this interpreter will consider this grammar or expression, and this interpreter will provide the result. This is the one of the example for interpreter pattern. Let's go with applicability of interpreter pattern.